All right, so I'm recording this, so yeah, if anybody misses out or yeah, just wants to go back and refer it, I'll be uploading this and yeah, just shooting it out. So yeah, you can go back and reference it as needed. So as most of you know, the extensions in the system are not ready yet as a function. So we need kind of a little stopgap between that in order for us to take the extensions and whatnot. So with how everything's set up currently, the from the system for this process, it's going to be probably 98% manually done on your end. So that's going to be taking all the documents, creating all the documents, sending out the links, directing customers to the correct area, and so on. The In the system, all that is going to be handled for most cases is going to be just collecting money from the insured. So this is collecting the money, so then accounting can then go and shoot out the check to the carrier, or just for them to reference whatever they need to in order to get the payment to where they need to. So in most cases, for the extension, you're going to be handling getting the paperwork signed, getting the paperwork created, getting all the paperwork into the system, generating the endorsement, and then so on. So again, for most of the process, it's going to be manually done. And I'm not exactly sure if Leanna and Dana have set up, the exact documents to be sent out and then the exact process to follow. But yeah, just to let you know beforehand, the majority of it will be done manually, and so I'll just kind of show you just the two different ways that it'll be set up.
And we have PT renewals will come all through me. I will be making sure that I manually follow up, and fixed ones, anything with extensions or anything like that should be ran through a lead to make sure we're doing it right.
All right. So there is a way to get like 95% manual, and that is basically to be able to put a midterm on a policy. So in most of these cases that I'm seeing, we can't put a midterm on the policy to get collect the money. So by creating a midterm on the policy, you'd be able to send out a link to the customer, and then the customer can then use that link and then log in and put it so then we could collect that money amount. So in most cases, we can't put in a midterm because the policy is expired, or because it's a PT and we're not collecting fixed amounts for PT. It's just the PT. Yeah, we're just adding amounts onto it. So in those cases, we can't do a midterm. So in the cases where you can create a midterm, so let's say if a customer, we know the customer is, we're going to non-renew them, let's say 30 days before they expire, and they'd like an extension. I think maybe easiest for you might be to create the midterm, so then you could use the link. The other scenario is that you don't create a midterm and then you just have the customer come in. So let me go through show you the new feature that is being added, so then we can collect the amounts on the customer. So I am in the test system, but this was just released into production this morning. But when I go to the wallet, I'm now going to see a button called Add Credit. And what this is going to do, and so I click it, it's going to ask me for an amount to be added. So for this one, I'm just going to put 110 cents. So yeah, with the extensions currently, yeah, you do need to do the calculation on how much premium is going to be added. So for PTA, it'll just be the per transaction rate times the amount of sides. For the fixed, you're going to need to do a prorating on the calculated premium, and then yeah, just put the prorated amount into this this little box here. So this is the amount that we're going to be collecting from the insured, right? And so with this, you can see that there is the option to pay with existing or pay with new, right? So with this means that if the customer already has their account set up in the system and they give the approval to run the card, we could go ahead and run it for them. They don't need to log in or whatever. But yeah, we do need to get that approval. Or you would direct the customer into this area right here and let them know the amount that they need to enter in. Right? There's no link that we could send to something that's set up already here. There's no actual invoice that's going to be generated. So what this is going to do, and I'll just walk through it right now, is I put that 110 into the amount, and I'm going to select to pay with a new payment. So I'm going to go ahead and select the payment, put in my payment information. Right, and so I'm going to pay. It took me back to this page, so now the issue is that the customer doesn't know what actually happened. So they landed back on this page. Ideally, like for a payment page to be shown, but this is what we could do quickly. But if they want to confirm what the payment happened or what happened, they could go ahead and click on their finance section and hit payment, and you'll see that this 110 is now there on the payment, and the on account balance is 100 and then 10, right? So with this, accounting can then go and put in the amount that they're going to be paying out if they want to report it right away. Additionally, once the function in Nest is actually completed, we will go into all of the cases, and then we'll either add the transactions and then use the on-account balance to pay for it, or for the fix, we'll actually do it correctly in the system once it's allowed. But for now, what this system is going to do is it's just going to take the money, right? It's just going to take the money, and then it'll be up to the teams to communicate with each other to let them know that the extension was completed. If we need to send out additional money to the carrier, or in the case of the retail binding, let accounting know that you need to send out the payment for the extension to the retail carriers or whatnot. So this is in your view. Let me go ahead and show you what it looks like from the customer side. So I have on here, I've already logged into a customer, right? And so the customer, again, like I said, there's no direct link to this area. So the customer would actually need to go into the correct profile. So on this one, the policy is on the corporate account. So I went into the corporate, and they would go into the same area. So they would hit the wallet. On their side, they see a new card, or they can add the credit, right? Because they have the ability to add new cards into the wallet. So hit add credit. It'll be the same exact screen that you see. They'll need to know how much to put in there. So let's go like that. And again, they could use a new or existing payment. And then, yeah, do the same exact thing. Right, so that payment went through. You could verify it from the payment screen. See that payment, and then you could also see, yeah, what your actual on-account balance is. And yeah, so this is how we need to take payment for the time being. The extensions, they're hoping to get them out this month, more later on in the month. So hopefully it should be out in a couple weeks. But yeah, again, the current extension process is mainly manual. The system is only going to be used to collect the payments because we don't really have an instrument to collect payments outside the system. So yeah, this is how we're going to collect payments in order for the policies to actually reflect what is showing in the system. It will need to wait until the function is actually completed, so then we could go and retroactively get those extensions completed and then marked correctly in the system, so then we could tell what actually happened. And yeah, as far as the whole process, this is pretty much it. It's just collecting the money, and then once everything's done, we'll go and we'll move the money out of the on-account balance into the correct areas. Does anybody have any questions about this function, or yeah,
I do.
things are gonna
Sorry, I had to take a call right in the beginning. Is this in place of creating a midterm?
So for the midterm, if you can create the midterm, and you find that it's easier for you to get the customer into there, then I would go ahead and do it. The issue is that since some of these policies are already expired, it won't let you create that midterm, right? So if I tried to go and do something on this policy, I can't go and create that midterm and send that link. So the advantages of the midterm is that you could send out that submission link and then have the customer go to that quote and hit that buy now button, versus having the customer log in and then directing them to the wallet, so then they put in their own information. So one, the midterms set up for you already, but it is limited to only fixed policies that aren't expired yet. Did that answer your question, Ashley?
Yes, thank you. How will the account show that we've extended out the policy, just the decamend, or will it say like expiration date? Is there a way to change that?
Yeah, exactly. So the actual how to recognize it in the system, that's going to be coming later on this month once the function is actually completed. So for now, the only way that we'll be able to tell is through notes or through the actual amendment document that you generate. So yeah, just let the customer know that this is the actual document for amending your policy, and this is what the law office is actually used to determine the coverage. Okay, and then I have a couple questions here. Yes, so with PT, we won't know the actual amount until we actually get their ledger back, right? So unless the customer tells us that they only have one transaction, or they're at minimum, then we don't actually know the amount until they put it give us their ledger. In which case, then we could set up the amount or let them know the amount that actually needs to be taken. So, Britt, you wanted the physical check to be able to add that credit. Currently, it's not available, but I can ask to get that added if that's something that you wanted. Yeah, so if there's cases where you're getting physical checks for the extensions, then yeah, I'll look to get that added. This is kind of a stopgap for us until we could get the actual function going. So the issue with being able to complete it online, and no, this one's not a PT. Let me see if I can find a PT. So for PT, you can't put in a transaction that is dated after your policy expiration date. So the customer won't be able to actually enter in that transaction on on the correct date. But if they just want to enter it in there on a date that is before the policy expiration date, then that's fine. We could later on we could go and we could update that date out onto the corrected date. So let me just check and see.
For the PT ones too, when I'm processing them, I'm sending them out the document that you guys complete with a manual ledger for them to complete and return as well. So they are getting a ledger. It just has to be manual from what we were told last week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they could also fill out that physical ledger. So
yeah.
Let me just go to this policy.
I just want to make sure the PT ones are going through me so that we don't have any missing or falling through the cracks, because it is such a manual process. If they put them in there with the other dates, unless somebody's following up on that payment, then it's going to fall through the cracks. And that's why we have all the PTs running through myself per Dana's request to make sure that they don't fall through the cracks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so on this one, this policy is it's still an issue. I think once it's expired, you can still put it on transactions once the policy is expired. You just can't put on a transaction after the expiration date.
We do have one too. Lisa just had one, so we'll see how it works out. But if they can do it online, that'll be great. But that'll give them an ability to do it both ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and and if you're worried about the payment on the PT policies, to make sure that they get that one payment in, we might be able to, if the volume is low, just check those against the like when we receive the payment. So like if we receive the payment in July, then we kind of know that maybe they're just entering in transactions. But it just depends on how you want to communicate it with the customer, at least for now, until we can get the actual function up and running. All right, good questions. Are there any other questions about this function? Anything unclear about what you guys need to do? Okay. How about just in general? Are there any questions or anything anybody wants to bring up now that we're all on the call and you guys have the floor? All right. If there's nothing, then that's pretty much it in terms of what is happening now and what the current process is. Just to let you know what is being developed is that the actual policy extension will kind of function like a midterm. So you're going to go through kind of the similar process of a midterm, creating an endorsement quote onto a policy, and then that will allow you to change the policy expiration date, and then it'll prorate out the premium based on how many days you extend it. So yeah, just to let you know kind of what the plan is for how to implement the midterms. That's kind of the route that is going to be taken. And then for retail, it'll just be you'll create a midterm and then you'll manually add the premium on top of whatever you need to take. All right. Yeah, if there's no questions, then that's pretty much it. Yeah, and if you have any questions you think of afterwards, just go ahead and shoot me an email. Or, yeah, just you can contact me with however you can. And that's it.
Thank you, Harrison.
Thanks. Bye.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Harrison.